My ex's best guy friend mocked me as an idiot, and she refused to defend me, so I vanished. Next evening, she got publicly shamed at Bistro when I canceled her financial access. Be me, 34-year-old guy. Own custom furniture business that I built from absolute zero. Started in my parents' garage 11 years ago, making tables from reclaimed wood. Used to salvage wood from demolition sites and old barns. Was working 2 jobs back then. Construction during the day, building furniture at night. Slept maybe 4 hours a night for the first 3 years. My dad thought I was insane for quitting stable construction job. Said nobody would buy fancy tables I was making. My mom was more supportive, but worried I'd end up broke. Worried I'd move back home. My first real break came when local restaurant owner saw a table I made for my sister. He commissioned 6 tables for his new place, made good profit, and used every cent to buy better tools. Growing up, we never had much. Dad worked at the same factory for 34 years. If Mom cleaned houses, they busted their asses to make sure we had food on table. Had clothes on our backs, but never anything extra. Got my first job at 14 working at hardware store after school. By 16, I was helping local contractor on weekends. Learned more on those job sites than I ever did in school. There's something about creating something with your own hands. Always made sense to me. While other kids were dreaming about being doctors or lawyers, I was sketching furniture designs in margins of my notebooks. My shop teacher, Mr. Reynolds, was only one who ever encouraged me. "You've got a gift, Marcus," he used to say. "Don't waste it." Today I've got 5,800 square foot workshop, 17 employees, and we make high-end pieces for celebrities, tech executives in luxury hotels. Pieces go anywhere from custom dining tables to complete room sets. Not private jet rich, but doing pretty well. For a guy who barely finished high school and grew up in double wide. Company's grown about 38% year over year for last 4 years. Bought my house outright 2 years ago. Nothing flashy, just 3-bedroom craftsman on nice quiet street. Big garage I converted into home workshop. Drive 2019 F-150 that's usually covered in sawdust. Has tools rolling around in the back. Invest most profits back into business or into real estate. Not flashy but solid. Never really cared much about finer things. Give me comfortable home, reliable truck, tools that work. Time to go fishing once in a while and I'm good. My ex-fiancée, however, had very different priorities. Met Victoria at charity auction, where I donated custom table. She works at Elite PR, one of those boutique firms. Handles image management for wealthy people and luxury brands. She was coordinating the event. Saw me setting up my piece and came over to introduce herself. Smart, ambitious, gorgeous in that polished kind of way. Perfect blowout, designer clothes. That whole curated Instagram aesthetic. I'll admit I was a little starstruck. She seemed so sophisticated, so worldly compared to me. When she laughed at my dumb jokes and seemed genuinely interested in my work, I couldn't believe my luck. On our first date, she asked so many questions about furniture making. My business, my clients. Looking back, I should have realized she was cataloging my value, not getting to know me. Our early dating life was whirlwind. She took me to restaurants where menu didn't have prices. Introduced me to people whose names I recognized from magazines. It was exciting, I won't lie. Made me feel like I was moving up in world. My buddies were jealous as hell when they saw her pictures on my phone. "How'd grunt like you land woman like that?" they'd joke. I'd laugh it off, but secretly wondered same thing. First time I took her to my favorite local burger joint. This hole-in-wall place I'd been going to since high school. She picked at her food and spent whole time on her phone. Later, she suggested we stick to places on her approved list going forward. Didn't think much of it at time. Just figured she had refined tastes. We hit it off, started dating seriously. Within 6 months, things were getting serious. By our 1-year anniversary, we were engaged. I spent big money on the ring, way more than I was comfortable with. But she had always dreamed of specific style from Tiffany. I wanted to make her happy. For context, before Victoria, I'd never spent more than $180 on gift for anyone in my life. My dad nearly had a heart attack when I told him about the ring. The proposal itself should have been another red flag. I'd planned this whole thing at State Park where we'd had picnic early in our relationship. Sunset overlooking the lake, the whole 9 yards. She said yes, but later that night I overheard her on phone with Brittany, complaining that I hadn't hired photographer to capture moment for Instagram. Next day she made me recreate proposal in more aesthetic location, so she could post it. That was first time I felt like prop in her life, rather than partner. Looking back, there were red flags from day one. but you know how it is when you're wearing rose-colored glasses. Red flags just look like flags. She was constantly suggesting I upgrade my truck to Range Rover, move to better neighborhood, wear watches that successful men should have. She hated when I'd come home with sawdust in my hair or dirt under my nails, always asking why I needed to do physical work when I could just manage and keep my hands clean. She'd introduce me to her friends as the furniture guy, like I was some quirky hobby she had, not business owner with twice annual revenue of her PR firm. When I'd bring friends from my pre-Victoria life around, guys I'd worked construction with, my childhood buddy who runs plumbing business, she'd be polite to their faces, but later ask why I still hung out with people like that, when I could be networking with people who matter, as if people who'd been there for me when I had nothing didn't matter. First time I took her to my parents' house for dinner, she spent entire car ride back critiquing my mom's decor, my dad's outdated opinions, and the quaint neighborhood where I grew up. I defended them, but also made excuses for her, telling myself she just came from a different world, didn't mean any harm. One time my mom called while Victoria and I were at dinner. With some of her PR friends, my mom was upset because my dad had fallen off ladder while cleaning gutters. Was in the ER, nothing too serious, but she was shaken up. When I told Victoria I needed to go check on them, she made this face, said, "Can't your sister handle it? We're in middle of something important here." I went anyway, and she didn't speak to me for 2 days after. But I was in love, or thought I was. I figured she just wanted best for me, wanted to help me level up or whatever. Classic mistake. So last month we're at this cookout at her college friends, Connor and Jessica's new place. In the suburbs. Nothing special, just burgers and sparkling water. About 15 people total. I'm helping Connor with his new smoker. Dude dropped serious money on it to impress his boss, but has no idea how to use it, LMAO. While Victoria's catching up with her PR and college friends. I actually liked Connor. He seemed like most down-to-earth of Victoria's friends. Works in finance, but doesn't make his entire personality about it. His wife Jessica is sweet too. Always makes effort to include me in conversations. When others start talking about people and places, I don't know. "Thanks for helping with this thing," Connor said, gesturing at Smoker. I watched like 5 YouTube videos and still couldn't figure it out. "No problem," I told him. My buddy Derek has same model. It's all about temperature control. These digital ones are actually trickier than old school ones. "Victoria says your business is doing really well," he mentioned casually. "Yeah, can't complain. Got waiting list about 5 months long now." "That's impressive," he said, and I could tell he meant it. "You ever think about expanding, opening another location maybe?" "Someday," I shrugged. "I like keeping it manageable, you know, quality over quantity." He nodded. "I respect that. Too many people get caught up in growth for growth's sake." That conversation with Connor was probably most genuine interaction I'd had with any of Victoria's friends. Most of them either ignored me or talked to me like I was curiosity, the blue-collar boyfriend who somehow infiltrated their world. Then Brittany shows up. Brittany is Victoria's best friend from Duke. If Victoria is polished, Brittany is polished, shellacked, and lacquered. Everything about her is expensive, and she makes sure you know it. Always dropping casual references to her family's summer house on Lake Michigan, and her boyfriend who's crushing it in crypto. She's looked down on me from day one, because I work with my hands and didn't attend prestigious university. First time I met Brittany, she asked what I did. When I told her about my furniture business, she literally said, "Oh, so you're like Carpenter, how authentic." Then proceeded to ask if I'd give her friends and family discount on dining table. When I quoted her my standard price, she laughed like I told joke. Said, "Oh, I didn't realize you were charging real furniture prices." Whatever that means. Brittany's the kind of person who manages to make everything about herself. If you mention you went to Italy, she'll jump in with story about how she spent semester in Florence and practically became local. If you talk about being tired after work, she'll launch into epic tale of her 80-hour work weeks. How she's literally surviving on La Croix and determination. I've never heard her ask anyone genuine question about themselves. I'm bringing Victoria fresh sparkling water. When I hear Brittany loudly going, "Seriously, Vic, another year without going to Europe. When are you going to stop pretending to be happy with?" She glances at me. "This lifestyle and live a little, my God." Victoria laughs nervously and says, "We're saving for the wedding, and I've got some big client projects." Then Brittany literally scoffs and goes, "God, he's such basic loser. No ambition beyond making fancy tables for actual successful people." You could do so much better with your connections. Everyone goes quiet, like awkward funeral quiet, all eyes on me standing there with water in my hand. Like I'm in some twisted version of reality show elimination. And Victoria, she laughs, not nervously, a genuine laugh. Then says he tries his best and takes water without even meeting my eyes. Like I'm some charity case she's dating out of pity. I stood there for about 5 seconds, put my glass down, grabbed my jacket, walked straight out, didn't say word, didn't look back. Just got in my truck and drove home. I remember sitting at red light about halfway home, hands shaking on steering wheel, thinking about all times Victoria had made little comments that suddenly made sense in new light. How she'd say things like, "You're doing so well for someone without degree," or "Your business is impressive considering where you started." Always these little qualifiers that I'd brushed off before, but now saw for what they were. She thought I was beneath her, and she was settling. There was this one time about a year into our relationship, when we ran into one of her ex-boyfriends at restaurant. Guy was some investment banker type. Expensive suit, slicked back hair, the works. Victoria introduced me as Marcus, he makes furniture. Not her boyfriend, not owner of successful business. Just he makes furniture. The way she looked at that guy, all sparkling eyes and giggles, should have told me everything I needed to know. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my phone was going nuts. 14 missed calls, 27 texts from Victoria. "Where did you go? You're embarrassing me. Stop being so sensitive. You're making scene without even being here. Call me right now. Not single, are you okay, or I'm sorry about what Brittany said." Nothing about how she'd laughed or failed to defend me. Just anger that I'd embarrassed her by leaving. I turned my phone off and crashed. Got up at 5 a.m. like usual. Did my 4-mile run, showered, made my protein shake. My morning routine has always been my anchor. Thing that keeps me grounded no matter what chaos is happening around me. When I finally turned my phone back on, there were 42 more messages. Last few had changed tone completely. "I'm coming over, open the door. Why aren't you answering? This is so childish, Marcus." I texted back one sentence. "I'll talk when you're ready to act like adult." Before she arrived, I sat on my back deck drinking coffee, trying to process what had happened. I realized I'd been slowly compromising who I was for years, trying to fit into her world, changing how I dressed, where I ate, who I spent time with, all to make her happy. And in return, she couldn't even defend me to her friend. I thought about my dad, how he'd look at me if he could see how I'd let myself be treated. He wasn't a perfect man by any means, but he had pride, self-respect. Never let anyone look down on him for making honest living. What would he think of his son letting some PR princess and her snotty friend mock the business he'd built from nothing? She showed up at my door 30 minutes later, all fired up, in her Lululemon workout gear, looking like she'd just stepped out of fitness influencers page. "What the actual hell, Marcus?" she yelled, barging into my house. "You just walked out and left me to deal with everyone asking where you went." "Sounds rough," I said calmly, leaning against my kitchen island. "Having to explain why your fiancé left after being insulted to his face. You're being ridiculous," she huffed. "It was just Brittany being Brittany. You know how she gets." "And you? What's your excuse for laughing and saying I try my best? Were you just being Victoria?" "Oh my God, I was just diffusing the situation. Why are you making such big deal out of this?" "Because my fiancé just showed me exactly what she thinks of me, in front of all her friends, that I'm someone who tries his best but still falls short." "You're completely overreacting," she said, dropping onto my couch dramatically. "It was one comment at stupid party. It wasn't the comment, Victoria, it was your reaction to it. 2.5 years together, expensive engagement ring on your finger, and you couldn't be bothered to say, 'Don't talk about man I'm gonna marry that way.'" She rolled her eyes so hard, I thought they might fall out of her head. "So what? I'm supposed to cause scene every time Brittany says something little mean? That's just how she is." "No, that's how you allow her to be. There's difference." "This is so stupid," she muttered, checking her Apple Watch. "I have client meeting in 2 hours. Don't worry, I'll make this quick. We're done." Her head snapped up. "Excuse me?" "We're done, Victoria. The engagement's off." She stared at me, her expression shifting from annoyed to shocked. "You can't be serious. You're breaking up with me over one comment?" "No, I'm breaking up with you because when someone called me basic loser to my face, the woman who's wearing my ring laughed and agreed. That tells me everything I need to know about how you really see me. This is insane, she shouted, eyes welling up with perfectly timed tears. You're throwing away our entire relationship over nothing. Not nothing, self-respect. Marcus, maybe, she tried, voice suddenly soft as she approached me. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. I wasn't thinking clearly. Let's just move past this, okay? We have that dinner with my boss next week. Wear that blue Burberry shirt I got you for Christmas. I stepped back. I won't be attending. Her face hardened instantly. What about the venue deposit? The save the dates went out last month. My parents already paid the caterer $12,000 non-refundable. Should have thought about that before you showed your true colors. You're being so dramatic, she exploded. It was one stupid joke. You know how much this wedding means to me. I've been planning it for years. That was telling too. Not how much we mean to each other, or how much our relationship means. Just the wedding, the event, the photos, the status symbol. What about the honeymoon? She demanded. The tickets to Bali are non-refundable. I'm sure Brittany would love to go with you. I replied, you two can take all Instagram photos you want. She gasped like I'd slapped her. How dare you after everything I've done for you? I've introduced you to people who would never have given you time of day otherwise. I've helped elevate your image. I've made you relevant. And there it was. The mask completely dropped. In her mind, she'd been doing me favor by being with me. Like I was some charity case she'd taken on as project. I think you should leave, I said quietly. Fine, but don't come crawling back when you realize what you've thrown away, she shouted, grabbing her purse. Good luck finding someone else willing to put up with your sawdust. That was her parting shot. My sawdust. The physical evidence of work I do, the business I built, the life I made for myself. I almost laughed. She tried everything after that. Crying with no actual tears, screaming, guilt-tripping, love-bombing. When none of it worked, she stormed out. Slamming doors so hard, my neighbor texted to ask if everything was okay. Over next few days, I ignored her calls and texts, focused on major conference table commission I had. For some tech startup, hit my home gym twice a day. Told my shop manager I'd be working from home. Handling design work only for a while. I needed time to pack up Victoria's stuff from my place and get my things from her condo. We never officially lived together, thank God. But after 2.5 years, our stuff was mixed up. I was methodical about it, boxing everything neatly, making inventory lists. The expensive engagement ring she'd left on my bathroom counter. Last time she stayed over went into my gun safe. I also spent a lot of time thinking about how I'd ended up with someone who clearly viewed me as project to fix, rather than partner to love. My buddy Derek, who runs plumbing business, came over one night. We talked until 2 a.m. He'd never liked Victoria, but had kept quiet, because he thought I was happy. She never looked at you like you were enough man, he said. Always like you were rough draft she was editing. That hit me hard, because it was true. Derek reminded me of something I'd forgotten. 2 years ago, I'd been commissioned to build custom conference table for the governor's office. It was big deal, got written up in local paper and everything. Victoria hadn't come to installation because she had important client meeting. Later, I found out from mutual friend that she'd actually been at spa day with Brittany. When I asked her about it, she said, I didn't think it was that important. It's just table. Just table. Not culmination of everything I'd worked for. Not vindication of my decision to start my own business. Just table. On third day I saw it. Victoria had posted on Instagram, long paragraph, about being publicly humiliated by her fiancé, who abandoned her at gathering over harmless joke. How she was blindsided by my toxic masculinity and emotional immaturity. Her comment section was blowing up. Mostly her PR friends and sorority sisters offering support, calling me controlling, insecure, fragile. Brittany's comment was especially rich. You're too good for him anyway. Men who can't take joke are walking red flags. Now you can get real man who matches your ambition. I didn't respond online. Instead, I texted Victoria. I'll be dropping your things off tomorrow at 6, raise sizes. The ring is in small box with your name on it. Please have my vintage leather jacket, tools, and signed baseball ready. She replied immediately. We need to talk about this face to face. Stop hiding. I didn't take bait. Just repeated 6 p.m., have my stuff ready. She sent back string of messages trying every angle, threatening to tell her side to all our mutual friends, as if she hadn't already, saying she was worried about my mental health. Classic gaslighting. Suggesting we go to couples therapy. Too late. And finally offering to forgive me if I apologized for overreacting. I didn't respond to any of it. Some mutual friends started reaching out, most taking her side without even asking for mine. One guy I'd known for years texted, "Dude, you can't just walk out on your fiancé over nothing. Then man up and apologize." I blocked him. Few people were more measured asking what happened, but I didn't have energy to explain. Truth would come out eventually. I hit gym harder than I had in years, threw myself into work, started sketching pieces I'd always wanted to make but never had time for. It was cathartic, creating something beautiful out of raw, imperfect materials. There's metaphor in there somewhere. When I arrived at her condo next evening, she was waiting. She'd done herself up, hair blown out, full makeup, wearing black dress she knew I liked, expensive perfume filling the room, classic Victoria manipulation tactics. I'd seen work on me too many times before. "Marcus," she started, voice gentle. "This has gone too far. We need to talk." "I'm just here for my stuff," I said, placing boxes of her things in entryway. "Please, 10 minutes, that's all I'm asking." I checked my watch. 10 minutes. She launched into clearly rehearsed speech about how sorry she was, how she'd been caught off guard by Brittany's rudeness, how she'd reflected deeply on her behavior, and realized she needed to set better boundaries with toxic friends. "I've even texted Brittany," she continued, "told her she needs to apologize to you. She's agreed to meet us for brunch on Sunday and make things right." I almost laughed. "You still don't get it. This isn't about Brittany." "I know it's about my reaction, and I'm truly sorry, Marcus. It will never happen again." "You're right about that," I said, looking around. "Where's my stuff?" She blinked, thrown off script. I thought we'd be resolving this. The only thing that needs resolving is returning my possessions." "Where's my signed Derek Jeter baseball my grandfather gave me? That before he died?" She crossed her arms. "I don't know where it is right now. We can look for it after we fix things between us." That's when I knew she was holding my stuff hostage to keep me engaged. "There's nothing to fix, Victoria. We're done." "Marcus, please," she said suddenly, teary-eyed. "I love you. Doesn't that count for anything? And love without respect isn't love. It's just convenience." Her desperation shifted to anger. "Fine. You want to throw away everything we built. Because your fragile ego got bruised? Good luck finding someone else who puts up with your blue-collar lifestyle and your refusal to network or advance yourself." I nodded. "Thank you for confirming my decision. You'll regret this," she hissed. "When you're old and alone with nothing but your precious sawdust for company, you'll remember woman who tried to make you better." "Better?" I repeated. "Or just different, more like men in your world? Tell me something, Victoria. If I'd shown up at that cookout in designer suit, with Ivy League degree and corner office, would Brittany still have called me loser? Would you still have laughed?" She didn't answer, but her face told me everything I needed to know. As I headed for door, she played her final card. "What about our trip to Bali next month? The flights were expensive, non-refundable. The villa is paid for. Everyone's expecting us to post about it." I turned back. "Everyone? You mean your Instagram followers, Brittany?" Her silence was answer enough. "Enjoy Indonesia," I said, closing door behind me. As I drove home, I felt this strange mix of sadness and relief. Sad, that person I thought I'd spend my life with didn't exist, but relieved to be free of constant subtle undermining, the feeling that I was never quite good enough, no matter how successful my business became. I realized I'd been holding my breath for 2.5 years, trying to measure up to standard that kept moving. The fallout was brutal but predictable. More social media posts painting me as villain, mutual friends taking sides, her mother calling to tell me I was making catastrophic mistake over tiny misunderstanding and that I'd never find anyone like Victoria again. Thank God for that. I stayed quiet, focusing on my business, reconnecting with old friends I'd neglected, working out daily, rebuilding my life without constant criticism and suggestions for improvement. I even started taking evening woodworking class. Not for skill building, obviously, but for community. Made some good friends there who appreciated craftsmanship and didn't care what watch I wore. I reconnected with people from my old neighborhood. Guys I'd grown up with who'd seen me hustling from day one. We went fishing, talked, laughed about old times. No one asked about my personal brand or suggested I needed makeover. It was like remembering who I really was after years of slow erasure. My sister came over one weekend to help me rearrange my house. Get rid of little touches Victoria had added that never felt right. You seem lighter, she told me. Like you got out from under something heavy. She was right. I hadn't realized how exhausting it was, constantly trying to be someone I wasn't. 3 weeks later, something shifted. Victoria's tone on social media changed. No more angry posts about me. Now she was sharing quotes about recognizing your worth and letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. Classic rebrand. Then Jessica, Connor's wife, called me out of blue. Marcus, there's something you should know. After you left the cookout, Brittany went off. She spent 30 minutes trashing you to anyone who would listen, saying Victoria was slumming it with Furniture Maker. When she could be dating hedge fund managers and tech executives, Connor finally told her to shut up or get out. She went ballistic saying Victoria deserved better than some loser, with sawdust under his fingernails who would never fit in with right people. That's when Victoria finally defended you. But honestly, it seemed fake as hell. Too little too late, I said. I know, but that's not why I'm calling. That trip to Bali, Victoria's been telling everyone. It was going to be a surprise engagement trip. I was confused. We were already engaged. Not your engagement to her, her engagement to you. What are you talking about? Jessica sighed. She's been telling everyone that you weren't serious enough. About the relationship? That she was going to propose to you in Bali to move things along? She had a whole photo shoot planned with photographers she hired to capture moment for Instagram. I felt like I was in Twilight Zone. But I already proposed. I already gave her expensive ring, which she told everyone she had to settle for, because you wouldn't let her help pick out something worthy of her brand. I was stunned. Level of delusion and manipulation was beyond anything I could have imagined. But as bizarre as this was, there was more. Remember how Victoria was always posting those designer bags and shoes on her Instagram? Yeah. So Marcus, she can't afford that stuff on her PR salary. She's been maxing out credit cards in your name for over a year, using them for her image maintenance, as she called it. I felt like I'd been punched in gut. What? I never opened any joint credit accounts with her. She didn't need you to. She's been taking pictures of your credit cards and ID while you were sleeping. Connor overheard her bragging to Brittany about it at party. How she's been investing in her future by building right image now, and that once you were married, your furniture business would finally be put to good use. Funding her lifestyle, I immediately checked my credit report. Sure enough, there were 3 cards I never opened, all maxed out at high limits. Designer clothes, spa treatments, first-class upgrades. Restaurants where she'd gone with clients, but were actually girls' nights with Brittany. There's more, Jessica continued. That business connection she was always talking about, the one that was going to take your furniture to next level. It's not real. She and Brittany cooked it up to make you think she was essential to your success. They figured once you were married, you'd be grateful enough to fund their influencer lifestyle. They've been planning this for pieces, all clicked into place. Victoria's constant dissatisfaction with my perfectly successful business, her pushing me to make connections through her, the subtle digs about my clothes, my truck, my house, all while she was secretly stealing from me. Why are you telling me all this? I asked Jessica. Because you seem like a good guy who got caught up with someone toxic, and because what they did to you, they'll do to someone else. Connor and I are done with both of them. We've cut them out completely after what we heard. I appreciate it, I said, genuinely grateful. More than you know. One last thing, Jessica added. Check your email. I'm sending you screenshots of conversations between Victoria and Brittany that Connor found when he was helping Brittany with her phone at party. She left it unlocked and he saw your name. He feels terrible about not saying something sooner. The emails arrived an hour later. Reading through them made me physically sick. Screenshots of my credit cards, jokes about how I was their meal ticket, plans for how they'd redecorate my house once Victoria moved in after wedding. Shared Pinterest board called Marcus's Makeover, with suits, watches, and even plastic surgery options they thought I needed. Most revealing was exchange from just 2 days before cookout. Brittany, when are you going to drop this whole charade? And find someone on your level? Watching you pretend to be interested in furniture is painful. Victoria, after wedding, once I'm legally entitled to half the business, I can start making changes. He'll be too grateful to have me to notice. Brittany, at least get him to shave that beard. And buy some decent clothes before Bali. I can't tag you in photos with him looking like that. Victoria, working on it baby steps. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my laptop for a long time. After reading those messages, part of me couldn't believe someone could be so calculating and fake for years. Another part of me was relieved to have concrete proof that I hadn't overreacted at cookout. My gut instinct had been right. I called my lawyer first thing next morning. Week after discovering credit card fraud, I was ready. I'd reported fraud, frozen my credit, and gathered all evidence including texts and emails. Between Victoria and Brittany discussing their schemes, my lawyer was confident we had solid case for criminal charges, if I wanted to pursue them. But I had better idea. The Richardson contract, major deal to furnish entire Hamptons beach house, was something Victoria had been trying to get involved with for months. She was convinced that her PR expertise was essential to landing these high-end clients, even though I'd been getting them just fine before her. Diana Richardson was interior designer to stars, who'd found my work through Instagram. She'd commissioned me to furnish entire Hamptons beach house, biggest single contract of my career. Right on schedule, Victoria showed up at my workshop unannounced. My shop manager tried to stop her, but she pushed past. "We need to talk," she insisted, tapping her foot impatiently. "It's about Richardson contract." I kept sanding table I was working on. "I'm busy, Victoria. They specifically asked for me to be involved in presentation. I've been telling them about our engagement for months." "And?" I asked calmly, still not looking up. "They're expecting both of us at meeting tomorrow. I've already confirmed." I finally looked up. "Victoria, I know about credit cards. I know about debt you racked up in my name. I know about your plan with Brittany to use my business to fund your Instagram lifestyle." Color drained from her face. I can explain." "No need," I said calmly. "I've already explained it to police. My lawyer, credit card companies, and the Richardsons." "Marcus, please," she started to cry. "It wasn't stealing, I was building connections for us." I handed her folder with all evidence. "You have two options. 1, I press charges. 2, you transfer balance to your own cards. Make public apology and leave town." She chose option 2, made tearful Instagram confession about her mistakes, and left for Ohio to live with her parents. Her PR firm fired her after I showed them evidence of her fraud. Brittany's boyfriend dumped her when he discovered her own scams. The Richardson contract led to 3 more major clients. I expanded my workshop and hired 4 more craftsmen. I sold engagement ring and bought lake cabin. Perfect weekend getaway to bring my new girlfriend, Lisa, an architect I met in my woodworking class, who appreciates real craftsmanship and has never once suggested I try my best. Sometimes best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting away, leveling up, and letting karma do the rest. While you build something real, trust your gut, stand up for yourself, and never let anyone convince you that self-respect is negotiable.